If you're struggling with sales on eBay or Poshmark or wherever it is that you're reselling, let's talk. Because you can use slow sales as clues as to why your sales are slow. You really need to dig in when your sales are slow and figure out why that is. If you are listing consistently, you know you can't sell it if it's not listed, and you are still not seeing the sales that you feel like you should have, there is a problem. And instead of just continuing to list the way you have been, you need to take a look at what is going on. So today let's talk about what to look for. So when your sales are slow, it's not always the algorithm. We all like to blame the algorithm. We all like to blame luck or whatever, but it does mean something. It might mean that you're listing items that nobody wants. It could mean that your titles or your photos are not great. It could mean that you're pricing items too high, or it could be a combination of all of those things. There are so many different factors that go into making sales, right? So what you want to do is find out why your sales are slow. I can't tell you why your sales are slow because only you know what is going on in your business. The good news is that if you take some time to figure out why your sales are slow, then you can go and fix it, right? It might not be super clear. If you can figure a couple things that might be the problem, you can try and fix each of those things one by one and figure out which one fixes your sales. So the first thing you're going to want to do is look at your business. Look at your analytics. If you're using something like Vendoo, you can go into your analytics and see things like your average sale price, what categories you're selling really well, what brands you're selling, and all that kind of information that really is helpful to your business. It's not just to look at for fun. You can look at that information and be like, oh, I didn't realize I was selling a lot of jackets. I'm going to source more jackets, right? You're going to source more of what is actually working. If you don't have a tool like Vendoo, you can go into eBay or a Poshmark and just look at your sales there. There are some features in there that can help you kind of see your analytics as well. I'm just used to Vendoo because I can look at across my whole store, across eBay and Poshmark, but I do go into those platforms and look sometimes as well. And you want to see two things. You want to see what is working really well, and you also want to see what is not working. Sometimes we are blind to what we are doing wrong, and sometimes we are blind to what we're doing right because we are so focused on what we're doing wrong. So taking note, like literally physically going through and saying like, wow, I'm actually selling a lot of this brand within the first month of listing it. I'm going to pick up more of that. Or Free People used to do really well for me, so I always want to pick it up, but I'm realizing that it sits for a long time and only sells for like $20, so I really need to stop picking that up, right? So taking notes on what is and isn't doing well and clearly being able to physically see them written down on paper or like in the notes on your phone is going to really help you move forward with your business because you're not always going to be able to remember all of those things that you picked up while kind of studying your analytics. So you want to see things like what categories are selling well for you, what categories are the most profitable. You can see which sourcing, like where you're sourcing that is most profitable for you. In Vendoo, I like to, when I list items, I put a tag in, I think it's called a tag or a label of where I purchased that item. So when I go into my analytics, I can see, okay, I can sort it by, okay, Goodwill outlet items. This is my average sale price on these items. And then I can go to Goodwill items and see the average sale price and the average profit on those items. And I think that just helps you see, okay, maybe the Goodwill outlet is bringing you more profit because everything's cheaper and you can get good stuff. Or for some people, the Goodwill outlet is not very good and the regular Goodwill store or Walmart clearance or whatever it is bringing you more profit. So you can clearly see that kind of stuff. You can do that across so many different things, categories, brands, styles of clothing that you're selling. Whether you're selling clothing or hard goods, there are so many different things you can look at and compare to see where things are working and where things aren't working. Another thing you want to do is look at your very oldest items. See what has been sitting for a long time. I had several things that were listed for almost 2 years and I was like, why is this stuff not selling? It should be selling. I had it down to 80% markdown because I wanted to clear out my store and it still didn't sell. So that tells me those items are not selling well and it's either my pricing, it's an item that's not desirable, or there's something wrong with my listing. The pictures or the titles or the description or the keywords or something is wrong. So you want to go to those old items, take a look at them, do the research again as if you were purchasing it all over again. See if the sell-through rate is still there. Is the sell-through rate like 2%? Might not be a great thing to keep. You might want to just pull that off and donate it. Just kind of auditing your old inventory and then also, like I said, taking notes. Say these things are not selling for me. We are not going to pick them up anymore because they're bringing our store down. We are wasting our money purchasing these items and we're wasting our time listing them. And then along with just like taking notes is creating a sourcing kind of like a yes/no list. Like I said at the beginning of this video, I used to pick up Free People all the time. It was so popular and it sold really well. And now unless you're getting specific styles, it's really hard to move Free People a lot of the times. And I still come across it and I still instinctively put it in my cart. And then I'm like, wait, that might not sell well. Free People doesn't sell well for me anymore. Let's take a look deeper into the specific style, color, size, whatever, and see if this is actually a good buy. It's not like one of those things that you throw in the cart because you know it's going to sell anymore. And Free People right now is on my no list. It's on my list of things to generally not pick up unless it's really, really, really cheap and I can look up and see that it has a decent sell-through rate. Using the information that you're getting to create a sourcing yes/no list, in addition to stuff that's not selling well that you want to put on your no list, like, no, this doesn't sell anymore. You have to kind of remind yourself. If you've been reselling for a while, there are things that used to sell a couple of years ago that your brain still wants to pick up, and getting those on your no list because they no longer sell. Like skinny jeans do not sell. I don't care what brand you're picking up. It's generally, I would say like 1% of skinny jeans is worth picking up. So it's really hard because the thrift store is full of skinny jeans, and 5 years ago, skinny jeans were fine to pick up. And now they are on my no list. I'm not picking up skinny jeans. But another thing is a yes list. Sometimes you don't realize what kind of stuff you actually are selling. So go in and see what you've listed recently that sold really quickly within the first 30 days or so. If you're seeing a pattern there, put that on your yes list so that you can see, oh, I actually am selling quite a few of this brand or whatever. You can remember to pick more of that up. As you go through your store, your analytics, and see what is and isn't working, you can make some changes. If you go through your listings that are not selling and you find that this still has a decent sell-through rate, then try changing the titles, try researching it again and putting some extra keywords in it. So I like to audit items on a regular basis. Even though I do like to do a full store audit like once a year and just like get rid of a lot of stuff that's not moving, I do like to do it regularly. I don't always get to do it, but if I can do 5 a week, then that's a good week. And I try to go with the oldest stuff, the stuff that has not sold. I'm going to look it up. I'm going to see if the sell-through rate is still good. If it has a garbage sell-through rate and like it's only selling for $10, I'm probably going to pull it. I'm not going to have it in my store anymore. It's not worth bringing my store down. eBay and Poshmark see that you're not selling stuff, especially in the eBay algorithm. If you have a lot of stuff that's not selling, eBay thinks your store isn't great. And it's not going to show your stuff to as many people. So I'm going to pull that down. Or if it does have a decent sell-through rate, then maybe my pricing is wrong and I need to change that. Or maybe I just don't have the right keywords. So going through and regularly auditing your items and just going through the stuff that's not selling that should be selling, or the stuff that's been listed for a long time, and kind of reevaluating that listing and renewing it might help you actually sell those items. And then if they still don't, then that goes on your no list. That's something that maybe you shouldn't pick up anymore because it's just not selling for you and you're wasting your time, you're wasting your money, and you're bringing down your whole store with it. So if you've done all of this takes time. It's not something you can really do in one day unless you, I guess, spend the full day doing it. But this is something that takes time to kind of figure out. Are you sourcing the wrong things? Are you pricing things wrong? Are you not doing a good job with your pictures or your titles? Figuring out those types of things and then solving them as you move forward with new listings, making sure you're sourcing only stuff that has really good sell-through rates, that still has a profit for you, making sure you take good pictures, making sure you do good titles, and moving your inventory quickly so that you actually can make those sales that you want to make. If you really want to kickstart your sales, there are lots of things you can do. You can send offers, you can run sales. I recently did a huge 80% off sale. I started at 50%, 60, 70, 80. And when those things went 80% off and they were off at 80% off for a good 2 weeks, if those things aren't selling, then that's a red flag to me. Because at 80% off, they should be selling unless it's some super niche item that is waiting for the right buyer. That was an eye opener for me, and it's something that you can try too with your really, really old items that just aren't moving before you pull them and donate them. But even running smaller sales like 10, 20, probably not 10, 20, 30% off sales are a little bit more enticing to people. 10% off is almost nothing to most people. Sending really good offers out, trying promoted listings on eBay. I think I'm going to do a video on how I do promoted listings on eBay. I know nobody wants to pay eBay more money, but if that's how you got to get sales, then it's just part of the game at this point. And then of course, doing things like relisting your items. I like to relist items regularly every 30 to 60 days or so. I will try to go in and a few of the items, instead of just relisting them as they are, I will change the title around and maybe add to the description or something, just so it looks like a new listing, which I think helps a little bit. And if you're not cross-listing, I highly recommend that. I don't think that most people need to cross-list to 5 different platforms, but I do eBay and Poshmark. I used to do Mercari, but it was less than 10% of my sales. So I decided to stop cross-posting on Mercari since it wasn't a lot of my sales. And I could use that time doing other things like listing more items, sourcing more items, etc., and just not paying attention to that. But trying out other platforms is a good idea. If you want a tool to help you with that, I use Vendoo. I show Vendoo in almost every video that I do. And that helps me cross-post my items and keep track of those items that are cross-posted and take them down when they're sold so that I don't accidentally double sell the items on both Poshmark and eBay. Even if you watched this whole video, it's not going to help you unless you take the advice that I gave you to dig into your business and see why your sales are slow. A lot of people just want to run a sale, or like buy more stuff and list more stuff. And that's usually not the answer. If your sales are truly slow, if you're listing consistently and you're barely selling anything, then there's an actual problem and you need to dig in and figure out what that is. So hopefully you found this video helpful. Let me know if you dig into your sales and let me know what you find. I would love to hear from you in the comments, and I will see you next time. Bye.